Hi everyone, this is Jamie with Homeschool.com, and today we are talking about homeschool methods. What in the world is a homeschool method? So to start with, a homeschool method is simply just your teaching style. How are you going to teach your children? That is your homeschool method, and really for every homeschool family, that method will look different. Although there are some tried and true and systematized homeschooling methods out there that we encourage you to use as a tool to help you find your unique homeschooling method. So your homeschooling method or your teaching style should really be very close to your purpose for homeschooling and even reflect your lifestyle. So if you are starting brand new this year and you want to embark on this amazing homeschool journey, you don't want to adopt a teaching style that is rigid and constrained if you're a really relaxed, kind of serendipitous type person. What you're going to want to do is find a teaching style, a learning style, your homeschooling method that reflects you, your family, and your personalities. So they mesh together well when you do that. And over the years, I've seen time and time again, homeschool families run into difficulties. And why do they run into those difficulties is most often attributed to the contrast between their homeschool method teaching style and their lifestyle. They're just battling between the two. Maybe they've adopted this stringent, very structured homeschool curriculum or teaching method, and their lifestyle is really laid back and just, they go with the flow, and they just battle with that the entire time because they are frustrated, they are stressed out, they feel like they're not accomplishing enough because the schedule is so stringent, and so it just sets them up for feelings of failure, and it's a difficult road. So just out of the gate, I want to encourage all of you, especially those that are new to homeschooling, to really consider your teaching style and even a curriculum that aligns with that teaching style to support your lifestyle, your personalities, and your home life. So real quick before we wrap up this video, I just want to mention a few of those homeschool methods that have been, they've kind of withstood time. They've been around a long time. They're teaching methods or teaching styles or ways to teach that are used not only in schools, but in homeschools and one-on-one teaching. So this is something that really can be helpful to you as you're discovering what teaching style or homeschool method fits you perfectly. I'm in no way saying that you have to use one of these. I'm just throwing these out there as a tool to help you find your unique homeschool method. All right, so the first one is the Eclectic method, and really this is where so many homeschoolers fall. And why is that? It's because each one of us has a unique homeschool teaching style. Okay, so every one of us, once we get to that place where we're comfortable and confident, this is how we work in our homeschool. This is how we learn. This is how our day goes. That's our homeschool method. Typically, it's a combination of 2 or 3 of these that I'm going to give you here in just a second, or a completely unique animal all of its own. But we call it the Eclectic homeschool method, and that's where we put several things together and we do what works for us. All right, the next one is unschooling. In unschooling, we've heard of this before. It's kind of, some people have a hard time really understanding it, and I think some people are confused by it. We've seen things in the news that really show us a distorted view of unschooling, but unschooling is really at its core a student-led learning environment where the student discovers things and really does a deep dive learning on things that interest them. Okay, so it's not that they sit back and do nothing all day. They are learning, they are studying, but it's not a structured routine or schedule, and they are led by their interests and their passions, and they do deep dive studies into various types of subjects that are interesting to them. All right, and then we have the classical homeschooling method, and this, of course, has been around for centuries. Classical format really is based on the trivium, and there are 5 aspects to the trivium, which are reason, record, research, relate, and rhetoric. And various levels incorporate certain ones of those, of course, when they're younger, just a few of them, and then as they get into high school, branching out into all of them, including the rhetoric. But it's an amazing way to learn, and it has produced some of the most unbelievable talents and intelligent people in the last few centuries. And so something to consider. All right, then there's the Charlotte Mason method. And with Charlotte Mason, students learn from real life. And there are, of course, lots of ways to interpret Charlotte Mason and this homeschooling method, and a lot of homeschool families are turning to this method. It kind of involves a student-led approach, a natural learning approach, of course, using and incorporating, as I said, real life situations for students to learn from. But one of the things that Charlotte Mason is well known for is the use of living books to teach their students. And so with living books, students learn literature and history and geography through a fiction work instead of a textbook, which is much more exciting and again gives you that real life context. All right, the next one is the Waldorf homeschooling method, and the Waldorf method has been around for quite some time. The Waldorf method seeks to educate the whole child, and that would be the mind, body, and spirit. Waldorf students are commonly known to not use textbooks, but instead to create their own. How fun is that? Next, we have the Montessori homeschooling method, and of course, this has really become popular not just in homeschooling, but in private schools across the United States. And with the Montessori homeschool method, they emphasize errorless learning along with quality and beauty. So you will often find within the Montessori method learning toys and tools that are wooden and very simplistic. This is to help the child avoid confusion and clutter and focus on quality and beauty, like I mentioned. This method also encourages little to no screen time, so you'll often not really see students using technology, although somewhat is introduced later on in the high school years. And finally, but again, there are many other homeschooling methods that I'm not even mentioning today, but these are just kind of the most popular ones. But finally, the multiple intelligences method. And this is a teaching style that focuses on a student's strengths. And so, a lot of times in traditional school settings, we will discover our student has a weakness in this particular area. Maybe they're struggling with math or they're struggling with grammar, and then we just focus on that, and focus on that. Well, the multiple intelligences homeschooling method is completely opposite. Instead, they really focus on the students' strengths and areas where they are gifted and seem to do well, and really want to encourage them to hone that strength. Okay, so just to sum up, homeschooling methods really boil down to your teaching style. How are you going to teach your homeschool students? And I encourage each one of you to find your unique style that fits your home, that fits your life, that fits your students, and be confident in that.